Hi, everybody. Dr. Eli here with another episode of Vital Wisdom. And today I'm so excited. I have a special guest, HR Payne from AzureWell, which is a division of Azure Standard. And I'm going to let him introduce himself in just a minute. I want to remind everybody what we're talking about here at Vital Wisdom, and that is the body's innate ability to heal itself. And what that means is that our journey every day is to make choices that assist our body in this healing journey that it's on from everything we do, everything we drink, what we eat, how we think, the people we hang out with. This is near and dear to my heart as I'm on this journey, just like the rest of you. So, welcome to Vital Wisdom and HR. Thank you so much for being here. Tell our audience a little bit about you.
Dr. Camp, thank you so much for having me. It is such a privilege to see you again and to work alongside of you. Last time we were together, we were part of a panel in front of a bunch of practitioners. So that was all but a month ago. So it's wonderful to see you again. Again, I'm HR Payne. I'm with Azure Standard, and I come from being in this industry a long time, and I think I'm about to age myself here. Over 25 years
Wow.
in this industry, and it's been a wonderful 25 years. But I've certainly seen all parts of it, from the clinical side in my young 20s, but quickly getting into the manufacturing side of dietary supplements. And that's where I lived for a long time, and for 20 plus years. And today I'm with Azure, which is the whole world of health and wellness, the full spectrum, right? From way beyond supplements. And that's how we connected. It's more than just about supplements, right?
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
For sure. Way more about supplements. I think it starts with understanding this idea that our bodies actually have the ability to heal, which is not a message we're taught, at least in the United States. We're not taught that from a young age that, hey, if you do good food and you get good sleep and you live in a clean environment and you put things in your body that can help your body carry out its everyday functions, your chances of ending up on a pharmaceutical pot of all different things and having to have joints replaced, and like, you don't have to end up there, right? If you start in a very particular place and you are aware of what's going on. And supplements are so needed today, right? Because of the soil losing minerals, and just because of the diet and the food, what's out there and available leaves us nutrient deficient. And then there's these wonderful plants and herbs and substances of the planet that can actually assist our body in healing. And man, it's such a great industry to be part of. And as a practitioner, going out there and trying to find the best product for my patients can be very challenging when we don't really know what's in there or where it came from, or is there a better form of something? And that's why I love Azure and AzureWell.
Oh, truly appreciate that. That's why I love Azure. AzureWell, they just have really met the standards. You're so right. We are a part of a great opportunity, and it's a great time to be alive. We have so much information in front of us, so much choice in front of us, and we have the power to make change now. We don't have to be cornered in a room by some guy in a white jacket telling us what you got to do. We have the ability to change ourselves. We have the ability to be our own health coach. We have the ability to be our own guru. We have the ability to be in control of our health. And there is so many good people out there like yourself that are guiding us on what the right path is, what's the right information, because there's a lot of misinformation as well. And so that's really, with all this that we have in front of us, I still think with AI, right, you still need a doctor, right? A doctor means educator in Latin, right? To
I
help
agree.
coach you through what all this information is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's interesting that you brought up AI because I have a number, my recent uh, people calling to get help with this health journey. Oftentimes they start out these days, and it's just evolution of everything, but they start out with, I was researching on AI and it gave me this treatment plan, which I tried, but it doesn't seem to be helping.
Yeah.
And I always tell people AI can really provide a lot of very good information, but AI doesn't know the questions to ask. AI doesn't know to investigate, how you're living your life and what impact that has on your body's ability to heal.
Mm.
It doesn't have the ability to ask the right questions. You, as the user of AI, have to know the questions to ask. And this is where someone like me, or there's thousands of other practitioners out there trained in this way. We know the questions to ask,
Yeah.
right? Are you giving your body what it needs? Or have you removed things that are damaging to your body or inhibiting healing? Um, are you stimulating your body's healing, innate healing mechanisms? Like, we know the questions to ask, and AI can be really helpful. I use it sometimes. Here's my confession of the day. If I have 10 different things I'm thinking about, say I have 10 herbs I'm thinking about using with someone, I can say to AI, compare and contrast these herbs for me. Tell me what scientific literature exists for the use of these herbs, right? And tell me what the mechanism of action is. Now, that's work I would have done manually until this, evolution of AI. And that would have taken me days to research all of those herbs. And I can get it now in 4 minutes.
Yeah. Well, we as humans have been gifted by God or the ability to reason and choose.
Mhm.
And that's something that will never be given to AI.
Ever, ever,
Uh,
ever, ever. It will never be able to develop that. I agree with you.
So that's where it separates itself. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
Okay, so you're in this industry for a long
sure.
time
For a
and
long
you
time.
find Azure, which I mean, when I found Azure, I was like, wow, how did I not know about this company for so many years? Not, and of course, my journey with Azure started with food. I wanted to buy bulk foods
Ah,
and I wanted good, clean food, and I wanted to buy it from people who were small farmers and not these big corporate conglomerations, right? I wanted to buy from real people.
yeah,
And that's how I found Azure Standard. Um, love their stuff, love their product. You cannot
yeah,
find better quality, and the price is amazing, right? And it comes to this local drop site where I got to know other people in my community who are like minded, which, we forget that community is medicine.
yeah,
And so finding people who think like me or who believe as I believe, that's huge for a support system. And those local drop sites give me that opportunity to interact with folks in my community. And then, holy cow, and this is, folks, where my journey crosses with HR, is I discovered AzureWell. This professional, um, how do you say it?
It's
Professional
just a
line.
health professional supplement line, and it's a division of Azure Standard. Yeah,
Right.
it's a component of Azure. Azure has, when you learn about the Azure world, there's many components underneath
Yeah.
this umbrella, and we're just another brand of Azure.
Right.
Um, is the best way I can explain it, but yeah, we'll talk more about that. But yeah,
And why is that such a big deal for me,
yeah,
the practitioner? Why? It's
yeah.
because
Okay.
I don't have to research the
Yeah.
quality and where it comes from. So that takes a lot of time when you're a doctor like me who cares what you're giving your patients.
Yeah.
Not,
You
not
know,
all doctors do.
no, listen, when you talk about AzureWell, it's the health professional line of Azure. Azure has, many, many, many different brands, all of which are high quality. Azure has, you can go on the website and you can identify with all of their standards.
Yes.
That or even organic is not good enough. And
Yes.
you'll see why, because you start talking about the processing aids and whatnot, right? That oftentimes you see, and that's deeply rooted in the values of Azure. And so Azure carries a lot of, it carries 12,000 plus products. To date back, to answer your question, let me just kind of go backwards
Okay.
real quick. And how
Yeah.
did I find Azure? And Azure kind of, it found me, and they really wanted me to come in and start this health professional line, just with my experience. And boy, I come from a background that is that really is of the highest standard in manufacturing, and to be able to align with another company that has those same values was very important to me. And so I had to see it um, with my own two eyes. And David Stelter, Susan Booth brought me out to Azure, myself and my wife out to Azure. And drive out to Azure, and you kind of see that behind me. There's this Mount Hood, and um, you drive west. I'm sorry, you drive east, excuse me, when you come out of Portland, and you drive towards the mountain. You go on the other side of the mountain, you come down the hill, and on Dufer Road, and you see a town of 600 people. And that is Azure. It's the farms of Azure. And I got to see the farms of Azure. I got to walk the farms of Azure. I got to touch the organic cherries. And what when you truly, I was never a farmer. Like you, I'm a city boy, more so than anything. But I knew a lot about manufacture. I knew a lot about what it takes to manufacture. I had no idea what it takes to be a farm. My goodness, Dr. Camp, what you go through day in and day out on the
It's a
farm of
lot.
starting at, and then to be an organic farmer on top of that. That's a
Mhm.
whole other level. When I asked David, I said, why do you do this? What's your reason? I mean, you can just do what everybody else does. And he told me what his father told him. And he said, the farmer is the guardian to our nation's health.
Mhm.
It was a paradigm shift.
Mhm.
It floored me. Um, and I had to be a part of a vision and a mission like that. I had to be a part of it. Um, that's those are the values that he stands on, and it wasn't just about organic. It wasn't just about. It's one thing to be an organic farmer, but to be a sustainable regenerative farmer on top of it,
Mhm.
where when you say that, what's your purpose in that?
Mhm.
Well, the purpose is not just to be clean, clean holds a high value, but his purpose is to bring the nutrients back to the soil so the food can be thy medicine again. I'm sold.
Wow.
That's where I want to be. He's, using a bricks meter. You know what a bricks meter is?
Mm-hmm.
He's using a bricks meter to take the produce of a cherry, an orange, an apple, and the liquid of it, and put it onto the lens there, and you look through it, and you see this little meter that goes up to like 20, 25, and compares that to the produce in the grocery store, where you see the bricks reading being, a 7 or an 8.
7. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And so what does that represent? It represents, scientifically, the dissolved solids and dissolved sugars within that produce, which also represents the glyconutrients,
Mm-hmm.
which represents its healing power. That was our conversation. And so how can you not be a part of that? He's before his time, right? He's a pioneer. He's at the forefront. And oh, by the way, he is building a movement of he can't do it himself, of other independent farmers, where he's teaching them about this, and he's bringing their foods and their supplies in, and he's supplying it, and along with 12,000 other plus products as well, supplying it to those that don't have those resources in front of them. And he does it independently. We do it independently. Dr. Camp, you don't see an Amazon truck pulling up, right? You see an Azure truck pull up. It's like a farmer's market on wheels, and you have any organic food or wellness product that you need at your fingertips. And he recognized that really he would love to say that all you need is food. That's where he would like, I think you're that way too. You would love to be able to
say that.
But he realizes sometimes there's, everybody has their own health journey, and they're in different phases of their own health journey. And sometimes you need targeted support.
I agree.
And so that's why he brought me in, to help create that under those values.
Wow. I got a little bit of chill bumps. I could just imagine you walking around with him and him sharing his beliefs and his vision and, the mission that drives him on what had to be a really steep climb in the beginning, right? To build this community of people. And
it started out of the back of his truck.
Oh man, I love that.
And just going, to those food deserts of his community. And it was back in the day of Kroger and Meijer. You've heard of them. And when they commercialized, he stayed true to organic, and ultimately, it became to what it is today. And it actually, we deliver independently through our trucks to over close to 4,000 drops throughout the country, touching every state, including Alaska and Hawaii and barrier islands, with these drops. And all of these drops are run by volunteers.
They're run by volunteers who really care. They care.
Yeah.
They're invested in this. Like, you don't get a paycheck for taking that delivery and sorting out things people have ordered. And it is a labor of love for sure. For sure. I had the chance to meet David for the first time earlier this year at a homestead expo in Oklahoma. And, he was like this. well, I was so excited to meet him. And I said to him, we were talking about how companies, who are trying to do a good thing in the beginning, and then they grow and they get big, and then they become attractive to some of these multi-billion-dollar industries, and they sell out. They sell out and they take their money and they, go sit on a beach somewhere. And he told me, he said, Eli, that is never going to happen. We plan our succession. We have the next generation or two, who believe in this, and they're going to take over when I'm ready to not do this anymore. And it's not something you have to worry about. And that was so comforting to my soul, because I
Oh,
I buy in, right? I get invested. I believe in the companies that I turn around and tell other people, these products, you can trust these products. And this is what I love about AzureWell. And I know you carry other brands. I'm particularly interested in the AzureWell brands.
yeah, no, we do carry other brands, and again, I have to compliment the other brands. There's a lot of brilliance out there,
There
and
is.
a lot of wonderful natural magic that's going on to support the lives. And we just really wanted a collective um, uh, standard that was a deliverable to health professionals of when you call yourself a health professional brand, there's just a different set of expectations really
Mhm.
that take place amongst health professionals. And I knew that world, that's where I come from. And that's what I knew I needed to represent. David allowed me to take it one step further
Mhm.
and to exceed those expectations, and not just the expectations of the practitioner, but even the expectations to that of the FDA and what they
Mhm.
expect. Um, and there are quality standards within the FDA that we have to abide by as a dietary supplement. Um, and so, yeah, AzureWell represents the health professional brand of Azure, and is our deliverable. We have 100 products and growing, and we want to be that one-stop shop for practitioners and their clients to identify with all of their health needs. And we're going to, it's right now, it's very much dietary supplements. I say that. We do have dietary supplements, but we also have castile soaps and other things as well that are necessities, right? And we're going to continue to develop that into castor oil. But right now, the hub of it is dietary supplements. We have the food part. I think we have that down. Uh,
Mhm.
and that you need the food part, but we needed this targeted nutrition. And so there's really, there's really three, I would say, pillars that we built this upon, and that really have kind of separated ourselves from exceeding those expectations. Um, Number one, we are clean label. Okay, so clean label, what does that mean? You think of clean label, you think of organic or non-GMO or maybe kosher, and those are all wonderful attributes and badges of honor on the label. But what clean label really means to the industry is that every ingredient, everything that goes into the formula is actually represented on the label down to the amount. I kind of would expect that, you know, you would expect the industry would mandate proper informed consent for the consumer.
You think, but
Yeah,
no.
no, they've left gaping holes, Dr. Camp, and I may surprise some of your listeners with this, and but it's the truth. The FDA allows you to put proprietary blend, a common name on the label called proprietary blend. We'll say proprietary blend, 400 milligrams, and just list a bunch of ingredients.
Yeah.
And you have no idea how much of one ingredient there is from one product to the next.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that?
Thank you for asking me that because it's a soapbox that I get on periodically. What does that even mean? How can anybody, including me, because I use nutritional supplements myself? Well, what does that mean? Proprietary blend. What's in there? Well, like, I think it's wrong. I do not think it should happen. I know why it happens. The argument is if I list everything and in the amounts, anybody can copy my product. But really, how many people are going to run around and copy stuff? Plus, if you is it a copyright or a trademark or like?
I'll give you a hint. I'm going to give you a hint, actually, what the reason is.
Tell me.
It's not that. And I'm going to be hated by the world, the industry, but here I go.
That's okay.
It allows you to move around the
Mm-hmm.
ingredients and not have to tell anybody
And
how
profit.
much or how little you're going to use of each of those ingredients, because you have proprietary blend there. So depending upon your supply chain, depending upon how much you have in stock, depending upon humidity sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Not everything's running properly. You need a little bit more of this, a little bit less of that.
It gives you the freedom to do that. Well, see, as a practitioner, that's very bothersome to me.
That's where I knew it would.
I want to know what my patients are taking and how much they're taking. And I want to know that it's the same from this month to that month, or this batch to that batch, or that lot to that lot, or, however they chunk it up.
Well, here's the thing. This is really going to get you boiled.
Oh, Lord.
If the ingredient is less than 2% of the formula, I can just go hide that behind the FDA curtain of GROS. And I don't even have to put it on the label. Don't worry about it.
Oh, man. And I did a show on this, if y'all will remember. Generally regarded as safe. What's that all about? Well, who gets to decide what's generally regarded as safe? Not the doctor.
If it's less than 2% of the overall formula, it's generally recognized as safe. Don't worry about it. That talcum powder, a known carcinogen in Europe, a suspect carcinogen here in the States. If it's less than 2% of the formula, I don't need to tell the consumers about it. I don't need to tell the practitioners about it, even though they take it not just in one product, but 3 different products. They take it not in 1 capsule, but 2 capsules a day, not just one day, but every day of the week, week after week, month after month, year after year. Don't worry about it bioaccumulating and ultimately degrading the cellular DNA. Don't worry about it. You don't need to worry
about it. Because we got you. We got you covered. We'll decide that it's relatively safe. So I made a decision maybe 13, 14 years ago as I was learning about GROS and I was learning about proprietary blends, and I didn't realize until you just shared this with me today that ingredients could be moved around like that. Like, for some reason, I thought if it was a proprietary blend, somebody somewhere had a list of it in authority who had looked at it and said, okay, that's okay, but that the proprietary blend was the same always. So that's new to me. And now my wheels are going to the back of my head. Like, it's even worse than I thought it was. But about 13 or 14 years ago, I made the decision, if it says proprietary blend on the label of a product, I stopped using it. And when I source for something new or different, and you know how hard that is? How many people use proprietary blends? Oh, it's almost impossible sometimes to find something.
we're up against it ourselves, and you know, you got to recognize. Oh boy, I'm gonna be an outcast here within
That's
my
okay. It's a
profession.
fun place to be.
I'm okay with that.
I'm there.
Um,
It's fun.
the alternative. So so we have to realize that, you know, 10% of this 10% of this $60 billion industry, 10% is made up of people like yourself, Dr. King.
Oh, that's not at all.
10% of this $60 billion industry is our practitioners. It's the practitioner market segment is what they call it. And there's arguments to, you know, how is it a couple percent points higher or less, but that leaves 90% of this industry. What is it? Where
Good.
does it found? Well, it's oftentimes in the 7-Elevens. It's and I don't want to represent it as all 7-Elevens. They're not all bad. But the truth of the matter is, you know, when you are seeking that supply chain and trying to identify with the good, the bad, and the ugly, um, you're swimming against the current, and it's really, really, really tough because this industry has been made for that 90%.
Mm. I didn't realize those statistics
Yeah,
and the implication
it's
of
about the
that.
dollar, right? It's about the money.
Well, the implication of that for the people I and all other practitioners are caring for and trying to educate, and I know a lot of those folks don't have a practitioner to guide them.
Yeah.
They're stumbling along on their own in the dark, and their candles burning low, if their candles even on. Um, wow, that just has enormous implication. Um,
Yeah. It, you know, I don't, it's what's kind of given us the supplement industry a bad rap.
mhm,
But there are good people, and
mhm,
there are, it's why I'm here really in with Azure,
mhm,
because of David and what he represents.
mhm.
This is his standard of care. This is his scope. This is his lens. I'm just the hands-on, you know, the boots on the ground that can hold up that integrity. And I come from deep within to understand it and how to
Mhm.
get there, right?
Mhm.
And you know, I got to put it in the hands of good people like yourself that want it.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that. Because it's a yin yang. It's a balance, right? So you put it in our hands, but we trust that what you're putting in our hands is exactly
I know.
what we what we know we need to be giving to people and recommending and supplying. And hey, I am completely there. Like I can't imagine working with another company the way that I have committed to working with Azure Standard and AzureWell and the line that is AzureWell. And hey, you know, there are stuff, and like you said, you're developing more, but there are still things that you might not have that I want for someone. And I
You can't do it
simply,
all.
exactly.
It's,
So I turn to other offerings that you
yeah,
have because I think even if the standards of some of those other products don't meet the standards of Azure Well, I trust that what you bring forward is worthy of me to to pass on to my patients. I have that trust. And that's gold, right? That saves a practitioner so much time. And then, you know, my patients and the community that I serve, they don't necessarily even know all that goes into selecting something when you make a recommendation. They just trust that you're doing what's best for them. So that makes you're helping me you're helping make my job easier, like really easy.
But
So
we have to know that we can't go on blind trust.
exactly.
And um, yes, I've only connected with you, and we've only found our paths together, come together through our very small world, who is looking for the same thing,
Hmm.
and wanting to deliver the same thing. And it isn't an easy task. And I don't, we're not perfect,
No.
but listen, I can go to sleep at night, because I'm identifying and I'm selecting and I'm giving these same products to my own children every day.
Hmm.
I'm okay, and it's not perfect. It's not a perfect world, and the cards are stacked against us. And there's the movements, call them conspiracy theories. But it's not a conspiracy theory if it's true. The
Exactly.
the movements are that are against us are for real.
Hmm.
And I don't know if you're how familiar you are, Dr. Camp, with Codex Alimentarius.
Well, not, but man, I love that word. Uh, I
Or
mean,
not.
well, no, it piques my curiosity,
Yeah.
right? I'm not familiar with it. Tell me.
Yeah. Codex Alimentarius is a World Health Organization initiative.
Well, there, it's tainted already.
Yeah, it's a WHO initiative. You can see who it's backed by. You can go find it on your own.
I'm gonna.
Who's running it, but it's the same conglomerates that are buying up this industry.
Oh, then I have an
All
inkling.
all for the motion, all for the one reason, to unify the regulations to one movement. The TG of Australia has already partakes in them. The EU,
Mm,
it's already happening. Um, the Health Canada,
mm-hmm.
our good friends, are participating. FDA is not. FDA is not. But
Is that a not yet, or
I
somebody?
don't know. There's, it's our, we again, we've have some good movements in place within our legislation
Mm-hmm,
that are um, opening some eyes.
mm-hmm,
And I've seen the momentum get held up a little bit.
mm-hmm,
And I'm grateful for that. I'm
mm-hmm.
grateful for the Alliances, ANH, Alliances for Natural Health. I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Robert Verkirk and the good work that he's doing with legislation as our advisory group. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant guy. I've worked with him for a good 5-6 years at
Mm-hmm.
one point. But bringing that awareness of what's happening and what this Codex Alimentarius means, and what this movement is, and ultimately to be a one world agency guided by the pharmaceutical industry, selling our dietary supplements, taking rights away that belong to us and to you as practitioners.
That's scary. I already have an inkling now of what I'm gonna find when I go, but I have to go down that hole now and look at it. Yeah. And so until right now, Azure has been able to stand outside of that.
We're big enough, we're strong enough to stand on our own 2 feet.
Good.
And that's what I had to align with.
Mhm.
All this work um, into it, and to have some accountant or lawyer go sell it,
Mhm.
and somebody else take it over. And um, and I remember when Whole Foods was a co-op.
Mhm.
I'm from Austin.
Mm.
Um, and it was devastating to the community what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Azure is family operated.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the next harvest festival yourself up there in Dufur. I was there this past year.
I'm going next year.
It was life transforming as to the values of the family and how the operations are guided by this beautiful light of wanting to do better.
Well, HR, I'm part Cherokee. And part of my journey over these last 5 years has been in discovering what that means to be Cherokee and becoming Cherokee. And a lot of the philosophy is this idea of our relationship with the earth and that we're guardians and that if we accomplish nothing else during our time as a human, that we have to leave it better than we found it. It's like one of the number one things. We bring our children in the world and teach them how to leave it better than they found it. And we leave it better than we found it. And overriding all of that is this idea of community. We are part of a community and we have to support one another and we have to care for one another. And I don't want to make it sound all, like, everybody's on state aid and federal aid and no one goes hungry. It's different than that. It's this idea that you don't just feed, you teach them how to feed themselves. Um, and you're there emotionally and you're there spiritually and right, they come and work on the farm and then they participate in the bounty, right, because they gave you time, they volunteered their time. Why would they not share in the food, and why would you not want to teach people how to do all of this? And
At what point did this become an option?
like, I don't know, but we used to live like this.
I
Like,
mean, it's that we don't have to be good stewards.
I don't know what happened. Like, I don't know what happened, but at some point it did become about the house you have and the car you drive and the things you can buy and cutting corners and saving time and making the most profit. And hey, they're not part of my family, so they can deal with it. And something happened because there's we can still read in our history books, there was a time when it was about community and community helping, and no one person had to do everything. Everybody did something, and it was shared efforts. Like, you had your hunters and you had your foragers and you had your people making clothes, and there was a time when humans remembered something that they seem to have forgotten. And not everybody, and not everyone who's living in the city and not living on the farm believes that. I mean, I know folks from all walks of life, but if you get that core idea that we have to leave it better than we found it, that we are guardians of a, a system and a way of life and the laws of nature and the cycles of life, like, if you get that, then you have to reject so much of what we see happening in society and the reasons why people do things. With compassion, I have compassion for everybody who's just trying to live their life. But how do you not see what's happening? That I have this question in my mind all the time. How can you not see what's happening? And if we don't do it differently, what is the human race? What's gonna happen to the human race? Because right, I don't know. I have so many little soapboxes, HR. I can't even tell you.
It's good. The ego is a blinding thing, I tell you.
The ego is a blinding thing. It is. It is. So, okay. well, let's bounce that to to a place of light. So you got involved with them. You're building
Yeah.
this line. You travel all over,
Mm,
talking to people and getting to know practitioners and
yeah.
and and just people who believe, right, in a similar way.
Yeah. There's, um, we're definitely a part of a movement.
Yeah.
It's tangible.
Yes.
And that 10%, boys, is powerful. It is, and they're that 10%, I gotta believe it's bigger than that. I'm sorry, Dr. Camp, but I just can't go by the NBJ, the Nutrition Business Journal, and what the experts say. I have to believe in humanity, and there's a lot of good, as well. And but the core, the hub of that are people like yourself.
Well,
And
thank you, HR, and you, like ditto, right back at you. I think it's probably higher than 10% as well. But just like everything in life is a journey, I think it starts in the head and the heart. Something doesn't feel right. Something doesn't match up, right, as you're thinking. And you want to do it differently, but you don't necessarily know how to do it differently. And so you start
right.
figuring out how, and it's not until that whole cycle is complete that you pop over into that other group of people doing it differently. So I would bet there's a significant number, right? Maybe even another 10 or 15% of
Oh, for
people
sure.
who have woken up, they want to do it differently. But so just can I'm gonna add in some stuff for my audience and for who's listening to this that I don't usually talk about because I don't want anyone to ever feel like they're a burden to me or to any practitioner. But patient care is only one small part of what we do when we are a doctor or a physician or a nurse practitioner or a chiropractor or an osteopathic doctor, a medical doctor. Patient care is one small part of it. There's all this other stuff that you all probably don't see, although you might think of it, but we have phones to answer and emails to answer and text messages. We have to bring in inventory and track inventory. We do all the administrative stuff of paying bills and making sure insurance is taken care of. And even a cash pay practice has a lot of administrative tasks to do. And then on top of that, there's caring for your own family and friends and then living your own life, right? So there's so much stuff that goes into being a human being, and I think even more when you are a physician and you're now a partner in helping someone else find health and live their life and manage right conditions or becoming well, that to change what you do, here's why did I say all that, because to change the processes that take you days and weeks and months and sometimes years to set up, to change those processes, you have to find the time to do that. So if you have practice management software with these products and these codes and this process and these handouts that are all set up, how do you change that in your spare 10 minutes a day? Right? And so I think there's a lot of desire of want to do it better, want to use a better product, want to use a different process with people. But holy cow, people get stuck in this is what I do in the time that I have, and I don't even have time to change it. Which is why when I first got out of school, I was teaching people business. So I was being a doctor, and it was before I became an author, and I started these great educational programs and blah, blah, blah. I looked at my colleagues who had no idea how to run a business. And I was like, okay, first of all, you have to be able to set up a viable business before you can run a practice because naturopathic doctors don't go out there and get hired. And the people they do get hired for are looking for a doctor they can pay less money to run a process that they've already created, right? They don't hire you to come in and do your own thing. And so those are my early contributions 20 plus years ago was let me show you how to set up a business that's viable so that you have the freedom to really bring your patients and clients what's good for them. Because if you're not autonomous, then you have to play by somebody else's rules.
And I've been around you long enough, Dr. Camp, and what you have accomplished through all of that. And I don't know when you sleep, by the way. I have no idea when you sleep. And but it's helping one person at a time, reaching to the masses.
Yes.
Is what you've achieved. And that's your when people say they're larger than life, you're larger than life. Your ability, I don't know how many hands and fingers and arms that you have, but you must be privileged with more hours in the day than most of us as well. But you have set up this truly being a naturopath, being a doctor, being a person of healing to the masses, and that is what needs to be taught to all practitioners.
I agree.
And can you imagine if other practitioners didn't, there's some people that are that is their gift, that one person at a time.
Yes.
And seeing 8 people a day or 9 people a day.
Yeah.
But man, with all the information you have, to be able to reach the ends of the earth, it is truly rewarding, to us as society, to us as those in need. And
I
so,
learned this in math class in college. So I didn't graduate high school. I left in 9th grade. I did. And then I became a teenage runaway. And my audience knows this story of mine.
I did not know that.
Yes. So left in 9th grade, became a teenage runaway, survived relatively unscathed. And that's my angel on my shoulder. And I feel so blessed that I did not end up in trouble of life. And when
So
I
you
went
may
back
caused a lot of trouble, right?
I always caused trouble. When I ended up back in school, because I have the kind of mind, I want to know why and I want to know how. And I believe that if another human can do it, I could do it too, if I wanted to, right? And this is just the way my mind works. And so I find myself, one of my first classes back in school was college, because I took the GED and then I passed my test, whatever, because I was an avid reader. So I sort of self-educated enough to get into college. Math was my first class. And I was sitting in class and I was terrified that I would never pass a math class. It's just, insecurities you have when you didn't complete high school. And I learned about exponents. I learned about exponential, this law of exponential growth. And I can remember thinking at that time, well, if I told 10 people and they told 10 people and they told 10 people, man, so someone could have a message and within a very short period of time, the whole planet would know that message. Now, this is before med school. This is before I became an entrepreneur. This is just little old me sitting in math class learning about exponents. And my brain had this thought. And going forward, I'll skip the whole long journey. Going forward, when I graduated from medical school and I learned this idea of, I felt I had been lied to by mainstream my whole life, because nobody ever told me the body could heal itself. Nobody ever told me all of these things that you have to do to create health and wellness, and that there's this idea of healthy enough that I didn't have to be a marathon runner in like the most incredible level of health you can imagine, which makes it feel unachievable for most people. There's healthy enough where you don't have symptoms and your body's working pretty good, and you can have a Reese's peanut butter cup once in a while. Okay, so I did. Whatever. My body can clean it up, right? So I remember when I graduated thinking to myself, if I really want other people to have this paradigm shift that I had, then I need to use the power of exponents. And it's not about me, because when you do that, you share the love, you diffuse and disperse knowledge, right? You don't become the person that holds all the knowledge, all the cards. You can't ever, I think, really affect change when you have that perspective, right? Kind of like you not having a proprietary blend, but you just laying it all out there. This is what's there. This is how much is always there. Boom, right? It's the same kind of idea. This is what I know to be my truth that I see work. And I want everyone to know that. And if I need, and so we do this, this is how I do this, is I find someone that will tell 10 people or 20, and then they'll teach them enough that they can tell 10 or 20. And this is how I feel like we can really spread the rings of that pebble. Like I can spread the rings of that pebble that I throw in the water. Is we have to know something different. We have to know two things to have a choice. Well, imagine if we know five things, the choices that are in front of us. And that's what I think is so important, HR, not to monopolize our time, because really my people want to hear from you. They've heard all
No, no, I mean it's consistent with our mission, even of AzureWell, is to build an uncompromised network
yes.
of resources for those that are in need. And that uncompromised network of resources, we have started to develop our own practitioner community to be the hands and the voices and the healing power that those that are in need can come to, identify with, and be supported.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about one person, it's about creating a community that's even beyond that. It's the concept of where we want to go with this is it's not just a community of practitioners, it's a community of practitioners helping practitioners.
Mm-hmm.
Because how much do you know about dentistry, Dr. Camp?
Oh, Lord.
Well, maybe I shouldn't ask that question because you're like, oh no, now I need to like be,
No.
I need to, but I bet you know someone that knows,
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
and we know the that every tooth reflexes to energetically to a different organ or gland system, and those the teeth was kind of God showing off, wasn't he? When he chiseled that into the blueprint. But somehow we figured out a way to mess it up here and there. And we need to be able to work with a biocompatible dentist. And it's only going to be through this network of hands connecting to hands in which we can achieve this. And it's going to be about more than just one type of practitioner.
I agree.
It's going to be support.
I agree. We have veterinarians and we have dentists and we have physical therapists and we have anybody who is involved in helping another living creature walk a path to health and wellness. Anyone.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to include all of those people.
Yeah.
And it is a different paradigm. It's a different way of believing, right? And I'm not dissing mainstream approach or an allopathic approach or the pharmaceutical control of the world, which is ridiculous because people give them that control, right? It's a two-way street, right? Like if you're going to go buy junk, then people are going to keep making junk, and that goes from clothes to shoes to cars to medicine. You buy it, they're going to keep making it. Woody Harrelson said this. He had a big campaign for like a month where he just came out and said, quit buying that stuff. If you're against it, quit buying it. If nobody buys it, they go out of business. How simple is that?
Very simple.
It's very simple. But what do you buy instead? And this is the balance. Don't just say, oh, this is a problem. Say, that's a problem, but here's a solution. Here's a choice that you can make. And that's what makes us powerful, is being able to say, that's not good, but this is.
Good.
Wow, I've kept you so much longer than I intended to, and I'm so.
But there's so much more to talk about.
There's so much more. We should do this again. So
I would love to.
thank you for sharing all of that, folks. Check out Azure Standard and then AzureWell. Talk to your doctor, your practitioner, your holistic health person about this, so that they can tell other people about it. So that it's not just you who knows this. Let's share the love. Let's share the knowledge. Let's help people change their paradigms. And as always, I'll just remind you, I have a lot of really cool stuff going on. If you want to learn more, just let me know and I can hook you up. And HR, I just thank you again. Is there anything you want to tell the audience, some final parting words?
Thank you, Dr. Camp, for everything that you do and really for being the light.
Well, thank you. Thanks. All right, folks. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thanks for joining me today. For those of you who have written in, emailed, and are interested in my books and other offerings, I wrote The Unvaccinated Child as a resource guide for parents and caregivers to navigate childhood illnesses in a natural and healthy way. And while the intended group was the unvaccinated, it turns out it's an important resource for the vaccinated kids as well, since vaccines do not necessarily prevent illness. Smoke Rings is another book I wrote, and that's to help smokers support their health, regardless if they plan to quit or not. So for people who smoke, love a smoker, used to smoke, continue to smoke, this book helps you be your healthiest version. And when I say it is judgment-free, it is absolutely judgment-free. You're free to make the choices you make. I'd just like you to find better health while you make those choices. My most recent book, Homeopathy, A Foundational Approach, is really great for someone, whether they're a complete beginner or they've already been practicing homeopathy. It starts at the beginning and it guides the readers through the basics and on into first aid and acute practice, so you can start using homeopathy right away. That's the most important thing to me, is to get folks using homeopathy in their everyday life. My workshops and courses can be found at either ecampnd.com or longshadowsranch.net. Have a great week. Again, thanks for joining me and thanks for your support.